mean, Riley Cooper, I mean, like, that dude deserves a statue. I mean, like,
number one on your speed dial.
Hey, I'll tell you what, like, I mean, I didn't know until a couple days after the fact. I was like, wait a minute, is he the MVP or like we got the all tournament team?
No doubt about it.
And then Ty Floyd, when I struck out 17, and like stole it from him. But I was like, when has a pitcher like been a part of like 5 of the 6 wins in Omaha? I mean, what a performance!
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time. Yes, sir.
Sharp a little late, boys, at the spring game, obviously, as you can see. Couple of booze cruises here to do. Let's spit. Cruise. Grand salami to the boys. Finally back on track. And I got another one coming. Don't you think I don't? And that's how we roll in Tiger Stadium.
Just watching the spring games that were on television, one thing that jumped out about your squad is your quarterback room is very talented compared to a lot of the league and a lot of the country. I wonder, is it easier to recruit that position when you have talent or when you don't have talent? Coach Kelly, we're official.
Finally,
I'm
get a
telling
chance to meet you. Thought I had to get a private audience with the Pope. There's Jordy.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Tearing up, answering the question, I thought, my God, if she gets offered this job, she's going to take it.
It's just a crazy, fun time at LSU right now. Isn't this what everybody loves?
From the boot to the east to the west coast, no matter where we at, we live. Open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show. Yeah.
Let's go! Let's go!
All right.
Big day. Big day.
Nice start.
It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time. Welcome into an early edition of the Culotta Show right here live on this Monday morning. BAMA week is here. We're going to talk all about it. We got to get in early because we want to get the content down. I got to get out of here about 7:45. Got a meeting at 8 o'clock this morning, so wanted to make sure we at least got an hour in here on this Monday edition. Probably not going to take the phone calls with the new format this morning. That's just for this morning. We'll be back on our regular schedule tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Just wanted to make sure that we got enough content in
For the people.
BAMA week and for yesterday's NFL reaction, a little bit of it, including Joey in Cincinnati flying out west and taking it to the 49ers. 49ers, probably as well respected of a franchise and program in the league right now, and one that is considered to be a Super Bowl contender. Cincinnati flew across the country yesterday and put it on San Francisco. We'll talk about Joey B's performance. One of his all-timers, really. He started the game 18 for 18. I mean, I think he finished 28 of 32.
Is he healthy?
Versus one of the best defenses on the planet.
I'd say the best defense in the league.
First possession of the game, he made a play on a third down that I really believe could be one of Joe Burrow's best plays he's ever made. I'm telling you, like, he is in the pocket. And the announcers think he's sacked. I mean, he's wrapped up, and then he takes, I believe, Bosa, and like shucks him off of him, like pushes him off of him, spins out of it, and Fred Warner, who's, I mean,
Best linebacker in the league?
He's probably the best linebacker in the league, is sprinting at Burrow's head, and Burrow puts one on Tyler Boyd. I mean, puts it on his face mask and takes a lick from Werner, pops back up, and you knew right then, I was thinking, he's about to go
Burrow mode.
to go off today. They had the pregame pictures of him and Joe Montana hugging that was put out, and I mean, like, Montana was in the stand. You could feel it, like Burrow was about to go off, and Joey went Joey yesterday and really sent a message to the rest of the league to look out for the Cincinnati Bengals. I think everybody was kind of saying that the Bengals this might be an off year. Joey's hurt. He ain't hurt. Yesterday, 28 of 32, 283, 3 touchdowns, no INTs. He was sacked 3 times, but he stood in there. Jamar had 10 catches for 100 yards, including a late touchdown that put it away for Cincinnati with a 31-17 win. And then Jam busted out a backflip that he made look like he was walking down the street. I mean, he probably got about 12 pounds of pads on, catches this touchdown pass, and just rips this backflip on national. I mean, like Troy. I mean, the national announcer. It was
Romo.
Yeah, Romo was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah,
I mean,
that was a crackhead backflip,
Jeez.
just out of nowhere. Just like, let me cut a flip. All right,
athlete,
he is.
I mean,
that was the one bad
freaky
thing about watching it on Red Zone is I didn't get to see the replay of the backflip. I was like, hopefully they show that flip again.
I figured we got last week. I've had this software Fubo for a couple of years now, and I just realized you can multi.
Yeah.
And I had the Red Zone on the small box, and then I had the broadcast on the big box.
You were quad boxing it yourself.
Because, I mean, I was – once I saw that third down – I saw the third down play on social media. Because I was like you. I was watching on Red Zone.
Right.
And then I saw the third down play, and, I mean, I was like, I'm not missing a play of this game. And went in and just – it was the best game on a day filled with – really good games in the NFL. Not to mention all of the throwbacks on yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
The Seattle Seahawks had their throwbacks on. The Miami Dolphins had their throwbacks on. The Tennessee Titans had the Houston Oilers throwbacks on. I mean, it was just
have a day Will
aesthetically
pleasing.
Beautiful
Yes.
to watch football yesterday, and knowing that Bama and LSU was on the horizon.
Oklahoma lost Saturday.
It is here. Yeah, a lot of teams exposed. Another tough week for Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Another tough week for the reigning Heisman Trophy winner, Caleb Williams.
Yep.
Michigan rescinded their contract offer to Jim Harbaugh. So things not as cool as maybe we thought up in Ann Arbor. And LSU and Bama going to take center stage this Saturday night. And it is feeling off to an early Bama LSU start week. The weather is beautiful this morning as you wake up here in South Louisiana. It feels like football weather. It's always this first Saturday in November that everybody is looking forward to, and it is here, man. LSU is underdogs by 4 points in this game, and I think LSU is sitting in a very sweet spot for rolling into Bryant-Denny on Saturday. We're going to talk all about it this week. Lloyd is here. Stewie is here live on this Monday. Remember, daily we are brought to you by RMB Builders. Rhett Bourgeois and the crew over at RMB taking care of us. They're online at rmb-builders.com. And you can hit them on Instagram at RMB Builders. Custom design home if you want to add on to your current home, if you want to get over and let them check out some of the projects that you need done around the house. Hit them up, rmb-builders.com. Tell Rhett and the crew that you heard it right here on the show. Our phone line is brought to you by Southern Regional Medical Center. That is Charlie Harvey, Jason Ramazan, the crew over there. Remember, real doctors, real solutions. Southern Regional Medical Center bringing you our phone lines every day. And we're live here from our Click Here Digital studios, live on the campus of Click Here Digital every single day, a part of the team. Developing digital marketing plans for you and really changing your bottom line. If you need more website traffic, they can provide that. If you need the phone to ring, they can get the phone ringing. If you need more foot traffic, they can get the door swinging open for you. Get in touch with me, Jordy at clickheredigital.com, and online at clickheredigital.com. All right, LSU Bama. Here we go. Into it. Last matchup on CBS. What a ride it's been. We talked a lot about that last week, right? This is really the game back in 2011 that was featured and headlined for this primetime matchup. And here on the last year of the CBS and Southeastern Conference contract, it will close out these primetime weekends and games with LSU Bama, following up, I think, a very intriguing Missouri-Georgia game, even though Georgia looked very dominant without Brock Bowers on Saturday. It'll be a tough task for Eli Drinkowitz and Missouri to roll into the hedges, in between the hedges, and try and take off the number one team. But it is an intriguing game when you look at the East, leading in kind of the undercard to the heavyweight fight that is going to be LSU-Bama on Saturday night. As we said, this game is the one that really elevated the brand of the Southeastern Conference. It elevated the brand of both programs in Alabama and LSU, and I think you could argue it probably elevated the brand of college football over the last 13 years. And now going into this one, it's not quite the matchup that it usually is. LSU is rolling in with this high-flying offense, this offense that really seems unstoppable at times, or not really at times, all the time throughout this 2023 edition of college football. And Alabama this year defensively is really improving. They have a couple of players at all levels. Remember Jaheim Oates back in recruiting? I kind of forgot about him, and then watching some of the Bama highlights over the last week. Got that weight down, Coach. I don't know how we did forget about him, but Oates was one of these like freak defensive tackles. Like when he was back in 8th, 9th grade, he was
already 6'6", 320.
Right, he was just one of these guys that you knew was going to be a big-time recruit. LSU and Bama were probably the two biggest schools on him early. He ends up at Bama, and he's a problem in the middle. It's going to be a battle between him and Charles Turner when you look just on paper at the size of Oates and the athleticism that he bears. He's probably lost 60 pounds since he's been at Bama. I mean, he was an enormous man. He's still huge. But as far as the anchor over on the defensive line, you've got a guy in Oates who is a big-time just defensive stopper, a plug that, you're going to have to take care of. Turner, who is a veteran and has seen just about everything that the league can provide, he'll have a unique challenge come Saturday night along with this offensive line. We talked to Will Campbell on Friday, and I appreciate the feedback. I was telling Lloyd got some feedback over the weekend as well. I was in New Orleans for the majority of the weekend, and I had numerous people on Saturday just kind of out and about come up and just unprompted, hey, man, I want to tell you that Will Campbell interview is amazing. I had to watch it a couple of times, and I really think it is. I mean, Campbell, of course, an easy subject to talk to, especially when you're talking football. But if you have not checked out or listened to Will Campbell, just kind of breaking down the halfway point of the season and looking ahead to this Saturday, you got to go back and check it out. It's on the YouTube channel. It should be pretty easy to find. Our social media team's done a good job of getting the bites out. Lloyd did a great job on production of getting it out. So hopefully, if you haven't seen it, you can catch it. But if you're looking for it, just search Will Campbell, Jordy Culotta Show on YouTube, and you should be able to find it. We tried to squeeze a little bit out of Campbell on Dallas Turner, and while the big left tackle was very talkative on Friday, he was not in the mood to talk about Dallas Turner for the Tide, and understandably so. This is going to be as big of a matchup. I think College Football Game Day announced that they're going to be on campus Saturday in Tuscaloosa leading into the matchup of LSU-Bama, and I think this is going to be an individual matchup that they really break down. Is going to be Turner and Campbell going at it for however long. I do anticipate that Campbell will probably be put over Emory Jones in his first game back off of a game-and-a-half injury. We expect Jones to be there come Saturday, but we'll just kind of wait and see what the matchup is. At some point, you'll get Campbell and Turner, and you're talking about two of the best players in college football going at it. Turner could well be the first defensive end taken in this year's draft, and Campbell is on a crash course to be taking the number one offensive lineman in the 2024 draft as his stock continues to just break ceilings with everybody that you talk to as we addressed with Campbell on Friday. The biggest story of Will this year is that he's gotten a penalty. I mean, and people are freaking out about it.
You would have thought I gave up 12 sacks.
And it's a great answer if you missed it. But this Alabama defense is going to be a challenge that LSU, this offense, as we said, I believe it to be the best in the country. Believe it to be the best in the country because it's always there. It's always producing. I believe this matchup is something that they've not seen. You talk about those guys like Oates and Turner on the front end of it. You got guys like Caleb Downs, who is a true freshman, on the back end of it, along with Kool-Aid McKinstry, who are going to be 2 high-end draft picks when they're set to go. McKinstry is a draft-eligible guy now. Caleb Downs is a true freshman who has over 60 tackles and a couple of picks on the season. I mean, he is a big-time player on the back end. So, I mean, this is, from a matchup standpoint, this is about as good as it gets, right? When you're talking about this LSU offense who's got, I mean, multiple first-round picks on the field. When you're talking about guys like Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Will Campbell, Emory Jones. I mean, Jaden Daniels is pushing for a first-round pick. In my opinion, his stock is continuing to skyrocket. So, I mean, this is an NFL scout's dream, as it always is. I'd imagine just like every year, I remember talking to the sports information staff last year, all 32 teams in the NFL were represented in Baton Rouge last year at this game. I'd imagine that all 32 teams will be represented in Tuscaloosa this Saturday night with just scouting passes of just wanting to see these matchups up close, in person. We're going to try and track down Jim Nagy this week, who's the president of the Senior Bowl. Will be a great resource of just the talent on the field in this game. He's over in Mobile, which is the headquarters of the Reese's Senior Bowl. So I'd imagine that he'll probably be in Tuscaloosa come Saturday night. We'll talk to him this week. But a dream matchup, just like it always is here for LSU Bama. Thomas Yorkinson with the $5 super chat. Kelly is 1 win away from having the best 2-year start by winning the West twice. Kelly is also 2 L's away from having a worse start than the last 3. It's a great observation, and it absolutely is on the line this weekend for Brian Kelly, LSU, and this program of this is a pivot game for LSU. This will set the tone of the season for LSU because they are in a not so much in a similar scenario last year where if they do beat Bama, they'll have to win out, right? Like you're not going to be able to afford to lose to Texas A&M and still go to Atlanta if it kind of works out. Like, I mean, you're just going to have to keep playing for your life every week. And sure, it'll be an enormous spot to beat Alabama on Saturday and really kind of set you sail into a spot where you got different goals now attainable. And I agree with Thomas in the same vein. If you come out and lose this game, where does the season go? Because you've got a couple of matchups in Florida and in Texas A&M that you're going to have to get off the bus for. I mean, you're going to have to show up. You're going to have to be ready to play. And if this game does not work out, you wonder if Kelly can keep the mindset of the team, can keep them focused. But if it does work out, the things that are in play for LSU
are huge.
Oh, they're everything.
It's everything. And
that's everything. I mean, I would imagine that LSU would probably be the favorite in a 12-team playoff this year. Maybe not with Georgia, but I mean, like if you're kind of outside looking in, you would think that if in a 12-team playoff, LSU with 4 weeks left in the season is sitting in a spot where their spot is secured. I saw that they went up one place in the AP overnight. They're 13th now, 2 spots in the AP poll overnight as they were 15 last week during the bye. They're now 13th going into the matchup. You'll also get your first college football playoff rankings come tomorrow night.
Yeah. But I don't think they would be the favorite. You forget about the, Ohio States, Michigans of the world. Now, who knows what ends up with Michigan?
Maybe not a favorite, but
They would make it.
A really
nobody would
really
want to face
safe
you
bet on a dark horse, right?
Right. That would be a great bet to make, and it still is if you want to grab LSU in the future. But all of that is contingent on what happens Saturday. And I know that LSU has always built this game up to where it's your season. And you heard the answer from Will Campbell where it seems like they're already ready, that they could have played that thing yesterday or Saturday. They would have. They want to play this game that badly. But from an outsider's perspective, this is your entire season. And while you may not want to build it up that way, it's impossible to ignore.
No, I agree.
It's just that there's nothing you can do about it. Like, your entire season is kind of hinging on, and it's not a spot LSU hasn't been before. They know that looking into BAMA, this is what it's going to be if you played your season the right way. Regardless if you were undefeated coming into this game or if you have your back against the wall with 2 losses, this game still, because if you're undefeated and lose to Alabama, it's, they can't hang with an Alabama. They don't deserve to be in the playoff. If you beat the Alabamas of the world, then it's watch out for LSU, even with 2 losses. Don't they deserve to have a seat at the table? Especially if you run through the rest of your season, I guess you still need Ole Miss to trip up at some point, and they're going up against Texas A&M this weekend, but they're not out the gauntlet yet either. But if you get to another shot of LSU wins the West and is in the SEC championship, and you can somehow beat Georgia, who look like any time that you want to push that button and see if Georgia's for real, they answer the call in spades.
No doubt.
But just get it. You just want a chance to play.
Yeah, right. And I mean, but it's still, they still strike no fear in me if I'm LSU. Like, I do look at Georgia, and I think that's one thing that Kirby Smart has done better than just about any coach that I've seen at a big-time program, is that he's always got his dudes ready to play in the biggest games. I mean, like, and like foaming at the mouth ready to play.
He finds excuses to get those guys
Absolutely.
up. He did it with who was the old Florida coach that is now in the booth?
Dan Mullen.
Dan Mullen. He heard what Dan Mullen said on the broadcast. He's like, I guess he doesn't like. I heard he didn't like to recruit. Like, because he picked Florida to beat Georgia. He's like, he must not know a lot about recruiting.
Right.
And it's just like Kirby always finds a way to take a shot.
He takes everything personal.
Yes.
Right. Which, I mean, that's what makes Georgia a little different right now. I mean, when you watch them play, I think it's
a machine.
It feels very Alabama 4 or 5 years ago. LSU in the mid 2000s, like 2004, 5, 6, when they got off the bus, you just kind of figured they were going to win. I mean, that's where Bama is now, but that's where Georgia is now, and the most impressive part of Georgia is that in the biggest games they throttle you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, remember how big they tried to make the Kentucky game a couple of weeks ago?
It was over after the kick.
I mean, it was over.
Oh, y'all want to play Georgia football?
Like, when's the Tennessee one coming? Like, he's going to find something to make it a big game, and they're going to pummel Tennessee. I felt, and like last week, I was kind of optimistic about the Missouri game. Now I feel like, like Missouri's walking into they're walking into Hell's Kitchen.
Look, because Carson Beck's playing better. Like, you would think, you look at the Georgia football team and you're like, well, do you think defense first? Carson Beck kind of has them humming, and 8th-year senior Lad McConkey walks off the bus, comes back, not being hurt. Now he's finally healthy. Goes over 100 yards, gets his first touchdown of the year.
Yeah, he looked quick.
He split the seam on the Florida defense.
He
Like,
was
Lad, pick him up
flying.
and put him down, coach.
He was flying.
Like, you didn't notice that Brock Bowers wasn't there, which is the scariest thing you can say about the Georgia
I mean,
offense.
his backup, number 4.
Looks just like him.
Looks just like him.
They grew him in a lab.
I mean, I was like, who is this?
And if you're Georgia, that's a position that you can afford to miss out on. Like, if it was a edge rusher, quarterback, lockdown corner, like something like that, that's when it's noticeable. You could cover up your best player being your tight end and not available. You saw that with, I mean, how many times have people tried to get a Reek Gilbert on the field, and it doesn't really seem to be a make or break for your team. Like, that's a position where I know how good Brock Bowers is and how much he means to that offense, but if you have skill players the way Georgia does, and now a quarterback that seems to have kind of figured it out, you can cover up a Brock Bowers until the playoffs come, and then I'm sure he'll play.
Right. I mean,
it's such a luxury.
It is. I mean, well, that is high level recruiting. I mean, that is what it looks like, and that's the true difference. It's easy to be arrogant as a head coach when you can look in your locker room and you're like, man, I got pros sitting on the bench. You know what I mean? Like,
4, get in there.
I mean, you've not seen Brock Bowers back up yet. You know, I mean, it's easy to stay confident. And, you know, I mean, like I said, Kirby Smart is the perfect personality to coach a team like this. And right now, he feels like the best coach in college football. If you were to grill me and say you got to have one coach, one game to win it, I'd take Smart, really. I mean, I think that he's...
I mean, you'd be a fool not to.
Right now, I mean, feels like the best coach in the game. So you'll have a battle of two sidelines again here this week where it feels like a wash again in this game. And that is in year 2 of this LSU-Bama matchup with Brian Kelly walking the sidelines for LSU. That has been the greatest equalizer in this build-up and matchup to me with Brian Kelly now running it. LSU had to cover up their sidelines for 15 years of this matchup, right? I mean, Saban knew that LSU could match up with them physically every single year, and at some points were probably better than them in certain positions on just man-on-man. But Saban knew every year that he was going to coach the pants off of LSU. He knew that he was going to run circles around Les Miles. He knew he was going to do the same against Ed Ogeron. And, you know, barring those guys getting, you know, revolutionary players like Joe Burrow or Tyrann Mathieu, you know, he was going to feel like he could win the game. And outside of those two being on the field, he won just about every game. But when you neutralized the sideline in preparation and you had a coach in Brian Kelly who understood what it took to, you know, break down, go at somebody's weakness, be prepared, have your team ready to play, and, you know how to mentally approach this game so where it's not the Super Bowl. We're talking about this thing like it's the Super Bowl. I would put my life on the line that Brian Kelly's going to take the podium at lunch today and show you how to really kind of water this thing down so it's not this Super Bowl matchup that we're all anticipating.
But it is.
But really and truly, I mean, even Campbell on Friday, a captain of the team, recognized that, look, the noise is a little louder. A little bit more of a build-up to it. So
I think it's okay to recognize that, but you don't want to. What happens with the reason you're concerned about it is what goes into every week after that, right? Because then you start going to the locker room on Monday or Sunday, whatever, and it just doesn't feel the same because you know what you were playing for, and if you don't win, then it becomes, all right. And this is what Ed Orgeron did a good job of at some points was being able to refocus, and it was usually Arkansas, and kind of right the ship. Like, that doesn't mean your season's over. You still got to play for, you still want to win, send your seniors out the right way, get a bowl game win, let's reset this thing for the next year. You're playing for more than yourself. But it becomes such a game where all of your aspirations you set out for the beginning of the year are now all on the table. You're all in. And it's just a matter of what kind of cards you're dealt and how you play them. Because, like it or not, we still haven't gotten an update on the defensive backfield, but that's going to be a major factor. And because if you don't have the injuries that you have on the backfield, whether it be Alexander gets healthy or not, we don't know the status of still, like Bakai Wingo on the defensive line, you would hope would get out there. I think Emory Jones is off the injury report. He's playing. Like, I think that's what Brian Kelly said. He didn't even list him. So you get some good news there, but it becomes Alabama has a place that they can exploit LSU. Otherwise, it's good on good.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, the defensive back is going to be a huge storyline this week for LSU, obviously, to see who's there, who is, going to be making the trip, who's going to be available to be on the field. And for, the defensive standpoint, outside of that, the biggest story for me is Wingo.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is that feels...
It's lingering too long.
Yeah, it feels like something's up. I mean, it feels like that is in a situation where it just doesn't feel like it's...
It feels like you'll get that answer...
Like it's trending in the right direction.
Yeah, it feels like you'll get that answer today before you'll get that answer on the cornerbacks room.
Yeah.
You'll get a status update on Wingo, and if he doesn't play, I still feel confident what you've gotten from... Jefferson, yeah, and that kind of rotating of D-line that's been pretty good, especially, I'll say it again, since the addition of Pete Jenkins, they've been better. And so you don't have this glaring omission at every spot on the defense where it was 3 weeks ago, you couldn't stop a nosebleed. You were just hoping that, God, please throw it to the wrong player. Like somebody run into one. And now it's like, all right, you have the front seven kind of established, and now the back end is getting better. So it's just an unfortunate timing for Alexander to go down the way he did. And if he's back, that at least shores up one side of the football where you can get back to some sense of normalcy on the defensive back room.
Yeah.
Or just let Denver Harris travel.
All right, remember, Daily, we're brought to you by our friends over at Go Roof, GEAUX roof.com. Early start today. Got to bounce out of here about 7:45, so we're going to put down a little bit more than an hour of content to get you going for Bama Week. We'll be back on our regular schedule tomorrow. Just had a couple of things, and meetings that we couldn't move around this morning that we got to get to. But Daily, we're brought to you by Go Roof, online at GEAUXroof.com, GEAUXroof.com. Our friends over at Go Roof, located right here in Baton Rouge, but working the entire South Louisiana corridor. They can help you out from the North Shore to Lafayette, everywhere in between. Call them at 225-927-8300 is the phone number, or online at GEAUXroof.com. A beautiful roof every single time. You get a 2-year free workmanship guarantee with our friends over at Go Roof. That's with all new roof installations. They've got competitive pricing, free quotes, free inspections. They'll jump somebody up on the roof today, diagnose the problem, tell you what you need. They'll work directly with the insurance company, take those headaches out of it for you. You can count on Go Roof for roof repair, roof installation, even roof maintenance on residential roofing, commercial roofing. They do it all, man. They got great reviews, great customer service. Find out what it's like to work with the local team over at Go Roof, just online at GEAUXroof.com, GEAUXroof.com. 225-927-8300 is the phone number. A beautiful roof every single time. Roofs up with our friends over at Go Roof. 225-927-8300 is the phone number for LSU. So, for Go Roof as LSU and Bama get set here for a Saturday night tilt between the Tigers and the Tide. This game opened with a bigger number 2 weeks ago. It is now settled in around. It was opening closing out the week last week at around 4.5. I've seen it now around 3.5. Bama. Have we gotten a total on it yet?
That is what I'm interested in as well. It should be out.
Yeah.
It should be out today.
Yeah, it should be out, right?
But I'm not surprised at all to see this thing drop a little. I like I said last week, I'd expect it to hover around 3. I think that'll be the number that it settles on. 3.5. It's still
60.
I would take that.
The over?
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. I would too. Bama
I don't
minus 3.5 and over under 60.5. According, this is from Caesars Sportsbook for LSU Bama here on a Monday. I would take the Tigers and the over on that.
Yeah, get it while you can before you want that hook.
Right.
Especially if you saw how last year played out. It feels like it's going to be a one-possession game.
Wow. I don't know. I mean,
Wow.
I look at that number and I still think that they like Alabama in Vegas. I mean, obviously the number says so, but I mean the 3-point is just a home field advantage. They're saying it's a half a point, so it's pretty much a pick-'em game.
I think it's just so hard to ignore the LSU defense, and you have to get. I guess from Vegas' perspective, you're expecting the other foot to drop on Jane Daniels at some point. Like, can he play nearly perfect every game? And then you go into the fun. This is the hardest defense he'll play all year, or at least up until this point.
Without question.
And so that's why it's probably hovering at 60, where you've seen LSU put up almost 60 by themselves the last 3 weeks. And you see, okay, this is your prove-it test, especially they're still not trying to give him any Heisman run.
They don't give him any respect. They give him no respect. They still, for whatever reason, and they really don't respect the LSU offense.
No,
Coach,
when
I
you watch college football, I mean, I was watching.
I watched Florida State Saturday, and if they keep putting Jordan Travis in the Heisman conversation, I will I'm gonna lose it. Coach, he doesn't throw any passes over 10 yards.
No.
And everything
over
goes
50.
to Keon Coleman.
It's screen pass, line
I
back screen.
don't blame him.
I could
I don't
throw it
blame
to
him
Keon
either.
Coleman. I'm saying, I get it, but Jordan Travis, Heisman, what are we watching?
I mean, I'd even put Carson Beck up there before Jordan Travis.
That's the new guy that they're pushing.
I'd watch Carson Beck. I've watched Carson Beck push it down the field, push it 15 yards. Jordan Travis is throwing 3-yard screen passes.
And watching him go 60.
And just watching him ride.
I mean, Penix had a nice day on Saturday. He had another good day.
They should have lost.
4 touchdowns. But like his team, the whole thing, it's like, it's the same thing you're banging on Daniels for. Yeah. He's putting up as good a numbers, and he can't be in the conversation. It's like, what am I missing?
This weekend, this is what it'll be. It
has to be.
But that they keep waiting for that foot to drop. It's like I told y'all, we never even should have. You never should have talked about it. This was always what was going to happen. It was always going to be the Bama game.
Well, they didn't talk about it before the season, and look what he's doing now. He's still not talking about him. So it's like, what does the man have to do to earn your respect?
I guess beat Bama
again.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah, I mean, it does come down to this weekend. It feels like for the Heisman race. I mean, if he can't get attention on Monday morning after beating Bama, I don't know what he. I mean, the conspiracy is proven. I mean, that would be.
There's no reason to have a conspiracy. That's the weirdest thing.
It's
like they should be banging on J.J. McCarthy now because he's been cheating the entire time.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's like no,
and he doesn't play anybody. I mean, can we talk about that?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to say that out loud. It's like he hasn't played anyone.
I don't think Michigan's even played a ranked team this
They
season.
haven't yet.
It's weird. It's strange.
The biggest game. I mean, they got caught at the absolute worst time for this little scandal to break out, but they have played nobody.
They got to play Penn State. And
they got
Ohio
Penn
State
and Ohio State.
I mean, Penn State. Give me a break.
Penn State is.
Like
Penn State is old LSU.
Like they're a fraud.
Yeah.
I mean, like they're no
like
good.
when are they going to score on you?
I mean,
right. What are you going to do?
Yeah, and then they acted like Penn State had the best defense in college football, and they obviously do not.
Penn State finally chucked it deep.
I mean, could you
finally threw it deep?
Penn State versus Georgia.
Oh God!
Like Penn State versus LSU.
That would be a massacre.
I mean, like that. The respect that's a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, you watch those teams play. That's. I mean, like they're parading Michael Penix around for shredding Stanford's defense.
And they should have won. Stanford had a great little. That's the old high school.
Yeah.
42 power pass. They were in the wing tee. Like Stanford, just like how many ways can we invent to run the football? Like, we're not getting away from it.
I watched a little bit of. I got away from it a little bit this weekend.
None of the games are good.
And none of them were
yeah,
really
I
good,
kind of got
man.
away from it. Like, I mean, I watched the Kansas and Oklahoma game. Then I was watching a little bit of Florida, Georgia.
Oh, if you only watch the first 10 plays of Florida, Georgia, you think Florida's the best team in the country.
God.
I was blown away.
Me too.
Those first 15 for Billy are electric.
Somebody check a pulse. Are they still alive?
And then it just became the Georgia show.
I'll tell you the craziest thing I saw this weekend. Did you see the ending of the Georgia Tech North Carolina game? Like, that's another one. Like, Drake May, they getting banged on. Like, Drake May's a stud. His defense, his team is probably like they're terrible. Like they were up. They were up big
Hayes
in the first
King, coach?
half.
He keeps winning.
Hayes King.
They're a threat.
Yeah.
Like, they are a
I
threat.
mean, they beat Miami this year, beat North Carolina.
And, like, kind of snuck away with them, man. I mean, they're not going to sneak up on anybody for long, but I thought Tulane was pretty impressive this weekend. I did watch that game. Put a fourth quarter drive together to win it. I mean, they let Rice come back, but to really kind of take the air out of it on that last drive and win the game was impressive. The Ohio State-Wisconsin game was about as boring of football.
Oh, my God.
I mean, like, I was like 3 plays in. I was like, that's it. We're out. Get me out of here. I'll check the highlights on
YouTube.
Yeah, right, on social media on this. This is pathetic. So, I mean,
You were sorely missing LSU.
Yeah.
Like, even they, regardless of who they've played, which I feel like they've played a pretty competent schedule, up to that, especially even out of conference. But at least the games are exciting.
LSU's strength of schedule is like 5.
Yeah, it should be
2. It's
yeah.
like it's in the top 5. It's not
Missouri
155 out of.
Missouri is good.
Yeah, they are good.
You'll see, and I think you'll see them at least test Georgia a little bit more than you've seen any other team this year. Like, I thought Florida may, like I said, every time you think a team is going to try to, like, maybe ring the bell with Georgia, they're just like, oh, y'all really want to play football?
Right,
and it's like, oh, God, no.
Yeah,
Might have a little beef in that Georgia-Missouri game because Georgia took Missouri's best receiver from last year, Dominique Lovett.
Yeah.
So
made room for 2 more from Missouri that are pretty good.
Yeah.
But
Luther Burden was there last year.
Yeah. But to aspire. Yeah. Get better. More room. Luther's a stud.
Stan Manning, Jordy, Tulane beat Rice by 2 points. Come on. No, I agree. I mean,
it's a win.
It's a close game, but don't look now. Willie Fritz and the crew 7-1 down in New Orleans. Their only loss against Ole Miss, and Tulane trending towards another solid season. This is back-to-back years for South Louisiana football and Tulane to be really good. So, look, I'm not going to break down the Rice win for you. But I mean, I know that Rice came back and made it closer than it probably should have been. But if you watch the last drive, it was about a 6.5 minute drive to kill the clock, kill the ball, kill the game, and preserve the win. And it's another 7-1 start for Willie Fritz and Tulane. Shout out to them. I mean, that's all I'm saying, Stan. Chill out, bro.
Yeah,
Bama week.
be happy for a win. And I mean, if you talk about Michigan, good Lord, they pulled the offer for Harbaugh.
Yeah,
he's NFL bound.
He's got to be. I mean, he's about to Pete Carroll this thing. Mm-hmm. Like I've had all the fun, I've had all the success, I've had all the players. Y'all deal with the
y'all's problem. It's the
I'll be one of the NFL.
The Magic Johnson you sent me.
Right.
I'm not going to be here.
I'm not going to be here.
I'm not even going to be here.
Oh, don't ask me. I'm not going to be here. And it has to be a little bit of a distraction. Like you could say that it's not.
Oh, it definitely is.
Because
it 100% is.
Even if it's as bad as we think it is with all the information that's come out, it seems like they were relying on this pretty heavily. But do you see that? Do you think that changes the way that they play?
I don't know if it changes the. See, here's my concern on playing a schedule like Michigan does, is that at some point in a college football season, you are going to be tested. Last year, Georgia, right? Georgia was in a very similar situation, right, where they were just kind of like breezing through the season. They were kind of waiting for them and wondering when they were going to get tested. And then that Ohio State playoff game, it turned into just a back and forth. It turned into a tight game. It turned into this game where, the experience factor is not the utmost, but it does come into play, in my opinion, in some of these big games. Like the 2019 LSU team, to me, was so good at the end of the season because they were so tested. They had been on the road at Texas. They had played big games with Auburn and Alabama on the road and Florida at home. They had just been in situations where you could go back to and you could say, hey, look, it's getting a little tight. These are the guys that you can count on. These are the plays that need to be made in these situations. You're all competitors. You've all been through it. But if you can firsthand go back to it within the last couple of weeks or even, in a window of a month and a half, you feel a little bit more confident. Right? And to me, teams like even Georgia this year, Michigan for sure this year, at some point it's going to get tight. Like it's going to get where you're going to have to compete for 8 straight possessions. There's going to be, a very low margin of error in those, 8 possessions that you're going to have to keep it tight. No penalties, no jumps, no offsides, no breakdown in communication or being out of position, things that will cost you in a back and forth game. And that is the dangerous part, in my opinion, of not testing yourself in sports, in athletics. I mean, at some point you get to a level where you're always going to be tested. If you you're a SEC, Big Ten, these high level you control your own schedule. You control who you play, right? I mean, the strength of your team. I mean, Kim Mulkey has her ways, like she said. Like, you can bang on me for my recruiting, my scheduling tactics all you want, but I don't care. I know my team. I know what I want to accomplish. I know how I want them playing towards the end of the year, and this is the formula that she uses. But, like, if you got a team like Michigan does, like, I don't understand why you wouldn't challenge yourself early in the year. Go somewhere like, I don't know, Clemson, even though Clemson's a bad example this year. Go to USC or go to wherever, LSU. I mean, somewhere. Play somebody.
Florida State. Stay on the East Coast.
Find out.
The only pushback would be you don't know what team you are.
No, I think you do.
I mean,
you control the recruiting. You
Right.
control the you know your team. I mean, if you don't know, don't think that Verge Osbury, who handles the scheduling for LSU, does not have a clear understanding of the roster.
Yeah, but you schedule this
Like
thing.
he knows if you got USC and UCLA on the roster, you're going to have Will Campbell and Emory Jones and Harold Perkins all be third-year players.
They're scheduled 10 years in advance.
But not this USC game, was it?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
It's
that's how they.
That thing's been there since like 2015 or 2016.
Yeah. That's the only thing about college football scheduling is that's what's the weirdest thing about it is you don't know if those two teams are going to be good. They're marquee names, but you just assume that LSU USC is going to be good. But like that's what I'm saying about recruiting is you can look 10 years down the line. Like if you scheduled Clemson in 2024, you'd be like, oh, that was supposed to be a good game.
LSU actually does
have Clemson in
2026.
Yeah.
I think.
And so like when you look at it, it's like rematch of a national championship.
I wonder if that will change with these new TV contracts. The scheduling is far in advance because of.
I think it should.
The necessity of having these big games.
I know,
right?
like the teams coming to the SEC. I know that changed a little bit, like because LSU. I think LSU was supposed to play Oklahoma this season.
No, Georgia was.
Georgia's supposed to play Oklahoma this year,
So
and they took it off the docket. If that had been Georgia's,
I bet Georgia is pretty happy about that.
Oh yeah,
because Oklahoma is.
Just sneaky.
Although they lost, they could beat you.
Yeah, right. I mean, like that's a sneaky team. I mean,
and they have
that's
talent.
definitely the most attractive game on Georgia's schedule this year if they're there. You know, I mean, and that would be a quality win. I mean, how good is the Florida State? For Florida State, how good does the LSU win look for them?
Looks real good.
I mean,
because the teams they play aren't that good either.
Right. I mean, that's what they're hanging their hat on every single week is that they beat LSU, we beat LSU, we beat LSU. You know, and like
we don't have to play anybody
the critics
else.
are like, yeah, it's a good win. Cool. I mean, like that's
you only really need one or two on the schedule.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why to me, Florida State is in.
Yeah, they're in.
They're in.
Like no matter what.
Like
they could probably go.
Forget the two SEC. The ACC champ is getting in.
So
the Big Ten champ's getting in.
You think they lose the ACC championship? They'll still get in.
I think that Florida State's done enough to get in.
Yeah, I think they have.
I think they could lose the ACC championship and still get in.
Because weird things can happen. Because
they beat LSU.
Yep. Go back to week one.
I think you definitely take the Pac-12 champ, even though I mean that might be a 2-loss.
I don't think we'll get in.
Oh man,
Oregon has to go undefeated.
2-loss conference
the rest of the
championship
way.
probably won't do it for them.
What league would you take 2 from?
It depends on how LSU finishes out. It depends on what the SEC does. They may take either a BAMA and a Georgia. A BAMA, and if Ole Miss continues to win out, they'd have to put them in there. Like that would be the other one. Or Utah just cannibalized itself out the league. It would either be Oregon or Washington. It would be coming from the Pac-12. And they have to play each other, I'd imagine.
They already played each other.
I know they have to play. They run it back, right?
Yeah, they probably
for the Pac-12 championship. And I think Oregon's better than Washington, and Washington won.
Yeah, I think Oregon's better than Washington too.
Yeah,
which would be
they
crazy.
Throttled Utah on Saturday.
Yeah,
that game was never close.
Never close.
I mean,
and Utah, who has built their reputation for being a physical Pac-12 team, got beat up.
Yeah,
like they got out physicaled by Oregon. That's the thing about Oregon; they're the scariest team in the Pac-12 just because of how they're built.
Built like an SEC team.
I mean, they're built like an old school SEC team. They knock the hell out of you, man. I mean, they are physical.
It looked like the Colorado game.
It did.
Where we're just like, we're going to grab you by the face mask and drag you for the next 4 quarters, and you're going to hate every second of it. I mean, that's Dan. That's Dan Lanning. That's his coaching style. That's what he wants.
Yeah.
And to go into Utah, a place where nobody wins. I think they were 39-1 the last 3 years or something like that. To go into Utah and beat the brakes from jump, and just take 3 straight drops, 3 touchdowns, and now it doesn't matter where we're playing. It could be in the backyard.
It doesn't matter. Everybody's
gone.
Steve Smith ain't running out on that field today, Coach.
He was there though. That place was humming for game day. They were humming on Friday. They were humming on Saturday, and then the kick happened, and it was like, I guess we can go home. It was fun. It's a fun lead up.
I'd imagine Tuscaloosa is going to be rocking on Saturday, too. Should be a beautiful environment for football, man.
Watch a booty hole.
Put it on the poll, Stewie. Are you going? Are you making the trip? Top 13 matchup, LSU and BAMA this week. BAMA and LSU. Tigers moved up a couple of spots in the polls. Started the week was on the bye week at number 15. They will start here game week at number 13 in the AP poll. BAMA and the Tide at 9. So as we said, this is a top 13 matchup for LSU. Another super chat from Thomas. How are they going to narrow the field down to 12 team? The 2 conference championship participants will get in. How do you penalize the loser? Look, I think that's why you have the human element in that room. I think that's why you have somebody in there to say, what are your eyeballs tell you? Who's the best? Who are the best teams out there, and put those into the field. I really believe that is, that's the push, and that's why you have the human element in there. So you don't have these computers spitting out what you should and who should be the matchup. You've got people in there saying, look, even though they're ranked number 12, they're not the 12th ranked team. So hopefully that is.
Is the BCS still operating? Can they plug in the numbers?
Somebody still does plug in BCS numbers to
here we go.
Modern.
From 11 Warriors, this is an Ohio State website, so take that for what you will. But BCS ranked Michigan 1, Ohio State 2, Georgia 3, Florida State 4, Oklahoma 5, Washington 6, Alabama 7, Texas 8. LSU is ranked 14th.
In the BCS?
Mm-hmm. The computer has them at 15.
Probably get in.
Coaches poll has them at 15.
Yeah, crazy stuff got to happen.
Yeah, BCS.
Wouldn't be the first time.
That's what I'm saying.
West Virginia.
That thing will let you in.
West Virginia Pitt. I remember watching that on television. That was the most.
Wait, wasn't that the Pat McAfee game where he missed
Pat
4
McAfee,
kicks?
Darrell Reeves ran a punt back.
Darrell Reeves ran a punt back. Pat White.
I was about to say, was Pat White the quarterback at West Virginia?
Rich Rod was the head coach for West Virginia.
Who's sneaky, taking over where is he?
Yeah, it's Jacksonville State.
They're awesome.
They are.
And he's
loving it.
He loves it.
He loves it.
He's a maniac.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need a change of pace.
He was at Northwestern, or he was at NLU.
NILU?
No, in Monroe.
Oh, Monroe.
Oh, ULM?
ULM.
He was there for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, they were kind of bad though. I think
that's tough.
It's a tough place to get players to come.
What happened at Northwestern?
One of their players.
I saw that passed away.
One of their players got killed.
Right.
By
Northwestern State.
Yeah, it was something with one of his teammates or something. Somebody shot his house up.
Yeah, they got in a shootout right off campus, and the head coach resigned.
Yeah,
and
they canceled the season.
I mean, he's the former Ruston coach.
He's a good coach, Brad Laird.
He is a very good coach.
Yeah, that
really good
Northwest.
coach.
I was there when he got hired.
Damn. So he's been there a while.
Crazy situation.
Yeah, they just shut the whole thing down, which is.
And I don't think they were doing too good in their season anyway.
No, they were defeated, as you say.
Oh damn, not undefeated.
So defeated. So they just shut the whole thing down. I guess that the whole story hasn't come out, but I guess it feels like it's hard to play football in that time whenever you had somebody get killed nearly on campus.
Yeah, and they think it's a teammate involved. It's all
it's
a lot. Situation.
Yeah, it's bad.
Damn, man.
Knackish.
All right, remember Daily, we're brought to you by Katie's Restaurant. Remember online at katie'sinmidcity.com. Been around since 1984. Katie's has all the New Orleans favorites on the menu. They have 6 new TVs for you as well. They've embraced the Sunday hours, 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. So if you're looking for a place to watch the game, check out Katie's in New Orleans, located on Iberville Street. katie'sinmidcity.com, katie'sinmidcity.com. We got to get out of here in about 20 minutes. That's why we had the early start for you. So if you missed the first 30 minutes of the show, we started at 6:30 this morning to start this BAMA LSU coverage. We'll be back on our regular schedule tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Just had a meeting pop up at 8 o'clock that we got to get to, and we will be back with you tomorrow. But obviously previewing this LSU-Alabama game, we'll have our regulars for you all week. We'll go back down to Tuscaloosa and get some thoughts from over there, as this one will be a huge matchup, obviously, come Saturday. But for Sunday, as we started, we talked a little bit about the Cincinnati Bengals with a huge win, and Joe Burrow really kind of looking vintage Burrow yesterday in his performance out in San Francisco. 28 of 32, started the game 18 for 18, 3 touchdowns, no picks, had a beautiful touchdown to Jamar Chase late in the game. Jam had 10 catches for right at 100 yards, 1 touchdown, and a beautiful celebration, a celebratory backflip in the end zone there in San Francisco. which was it was great, man. It was fun to watch that game. It was the afternoon, the late afternoon window, and Burrow and Chase put on a show to beat San Francisco. Saints got a nice win yesterday too, as the Saints went over to Indianapolis and took care of business as they downed the Colts yesterday. Offense was up and moving for Carr, Saints, and the crew as they were winners versus the Colts. Let me make sure and get the score.
38-27.
Right here, 38-27 as Alvin Kamara had a really nice day. Derek Carr rebounded here against the Colts for a nice win. So the Saints 4-4 on the season. Now they will host the Chicago Bears next Sunday inside the Dome. So a win for the Saints.
If you're playing the Saints, or if you coach for the Saints, first of all, don't overthink it. Let Taysom Hill do what he does. He had 2 touchdowns yesterday, and it feels like you can't really stop it. Whenever they were dreadful in the red zone every game until yesterday, and it feels like you have the perfect person to alleviate all of your red zone concerns. And now they're putting a defensive tackle in the backfield with him, so you know what's coming. It's their version of like the tush push, where it's like this is impossible to stop. Taysom Hill's too much of a man, and then he's getting leaned on by a 320-pound defensive tackle. So do that. But if you're playing against the Saints and it's late and you feel like the Saints need to close one out, you need to guard Rashid Shaheed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the play that they do.
Yeah.
You know who you got behind, Stewie? On that bomb? Good old Tony Brown.
Was that Tony Brown?
Uh-huh.
Tony Brown is on Indy. Bama fans hate that man.
Wow.
I haven't heard that name in a long
Cost
time.
him a championship.
He's still in the league?
Yeah.
He got done up by Hunter Renfrow.
Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah, he did.
Did him
Put
bad.
him in a
He
pretzel.
carved Brown up.
I mean, but Hunter Renfrow carved all of them up, really. Like it was one point they had Minka Fitzpatrick on him. He was carving him up, too.
He's just always open.
Because I remember Kirk Herbstreit talking like, oh, yeah, this kid was like a no-star recruit. Minka Fitzpatrick's a 5-star.
Tony Brown was,
He was
like
a
10-star.
10-star. Had to
Gotta
have
have
him.
He was the biggest guy on the board.
Nope.
He played LSU like a fiddle.
He did.
Every time.
He went to signing day in the car with an LSU throwover on, and then took that thing off. And I was like, "Why am I looking at that? Why am I doing this to myself?"
Sister was running track at LSU.
Saban got either his grandmother or his aunt into this elderly home in
God, the
Birmingham.
games you have to play.
It's unreal, man. I mean, it came down to like that. Like he got her into like some state of the art
hospice care.
home.
Yeah.
Recruiting games are so.
I mean,
like it's so. It's almost like childish. It's literally like grown men having like a dick size competition.
Yeah, I mean the best.
Like, I could do this better than you. I'll get his mom into that.
Who do I have to call? What do I have to do? I mean the best.
What do they need?
The best is Ed Orgeron tried to move Adrian Peterson's dad across state lines in the penitentiary. He's like, we'll get him into the prison in Los Angeles.
Like, get him into a new school.
Yeah.
Like, I got to get him into this school.
Like, where even does that idea pop into your head? Like, I think I can make that happen,
been done
Coach.
before.
Yeah.
And we got to have
Somebody
this.
told him, like, back in Texas in the 80s, we got this guy's dad transferred.
We got him.
We got him out on parole, moved him county lines, and moved his jail cell into A&M territory so the Aggies could sign him. And I was probably like,
all right,
we tucked that one away.
Got one.
If I ever need, need that one, I can always go back to it.
There's one dorm room left inside Tiger Stadium he can watch the games in.
Put him a little TV.
Yeah.
Make him a cell. Put some officers outside.
Yeah, just let him look out the window. Game's right there. But that is the things you have to do.
Like,
move mountains.
Crazy.
It's crazy.
My cousin doesn't have a car.
Right.
A car?
All right,
I get you a car by 11.
You think this car's for me?
Yeah, right. A car? Is that all you need?
That's where it started. Now it's become. I mean, NIL almost made it better. Yeah. Where it's just not as.
I mean, like, it's probably not as fun.
No,
yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, I mean,
like, damn, I can't.
I mean, it's probably like.
But those are the things that still have to happen.
Yeah.
Those are the deal breakers. Like NIL, everybody has a little bit of something. But can you get your granny into the 2023?
Can you get my brother out of jail?
Yeah. And sign him?
All right, make sure to hit that like button, share button, comment button. Like we said, we got to take off here in about 15 minutes. We're going to take a short break. I'll be right back here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Come back with us. Built by R&B every day.
Come on, Cameron Lacey.
Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Here you go.
Thanks. And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Let's be special. Let's be strong. Let's smell greatness from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
A real
Welcome back here, Jordy Culotta Show, out in about 10 more minutes. Sorry about the break. I had to take a leak. And
a lot of water these days.
Yeah, I'm on this water, man. I'm on this water kick. I'm on the lemon water, too.
Oh, where are you getting lemons?
I'm just picking them up by the six-pack.
Put them in your pocket?
No. I cut them up in the morning, and they're just at the base of the drink.
Goes to the grocery store and stuffs his pockets with lemons.
Who needs a lemon?
Look like you're smuggling grapes. Smuggling lemons.
Just Bama week.
Yeah.
Need these lemons for Bama.
Yeah.
That's right.
LSU fan.
It is, man. This is my favorite week. I mean, like, this is as good as it gets, I think, for LSU. The weather's starting to change. You're in the World Series for baseball. Basketball's starting to kick up. LSU, Bama's in it. It's usually huge college football games. The NFL's kind of getting into the second half of the season for a second half push. It's just a good time on the sports calendar. And this Bama LSU game is usually the backdrop to all of that. And I think this particular season, I usually try to go in with an objective mind. I know that probably does, there's a lot of people probably laughing at that who may be listening to this outside of the market, being that we've got a tiger head painted over my left shoulder and the whole set's done in purple and gold with an LSU football helmet as the centerpiece of it. We try to go into it as objective as possible. And when I look at this game on paper, it is rare that you ever look at this Alabama-LSU game and say, clearly, LSU feels like they are the better team in this game. I think outside of 2019, I have not had that feeling in Saban's Alabama versus LSU outside of the first one in 2007 when LSU was the national champs.
Almost gave that one away.
And they nearly lost it. They nearly lost that game. Les Miles, got in the way, and Saban saw that was probably his first
glimpse.
Yeah, crease and look at like, wow, this guy's a legitimate moron. He's an idiot.
He's going to squander this thing.
I mean, for as long as they keep him, we are going to pummel this team. And, since then, it was always like, what's it going to come down to where he's going to rob you. He's going to take it from you. He's going to just, peel back your scalp and just murder you in this game when you have a team that could match up with him. And now, when you take the best player in the program's history in Joe Burrow over there, you felt really confident that, they could compete, and then they end up winning. But when Brian Kelly got to LSU last year, you could feel it in the buildup, you could feel it in the pregame, and then you saw it on the field. Like LSU they were the better coached team in this game last season. And I don't know if it's debatable. I mean, how many times have you seen LSU in this game with the sideline jumping up and down, yelling for timeout while the players are on the field with their hands in the air, looking at the sideline, looking at one another? That was the scenario on that 2-point conversion for LSU last season when they lined up. Saban had to get out to the numbers and call a timeout. It was very rare to see Alabama in that mode. That was the same night Alabama was getting these penalties that you rarely saw them get in this game. It was just, they were, I think, as shocked as probably a lot of people to see LSU so prepared for that game. So well coached in that game. I mean, remember LSU running like Drew Allemon, Brad Wing fake field goal in this game, and like 20. Like people were like, Jesus, take the headset off this guy.
We've been setting up the end around D'Angelo Peterson for 10 years.
I mean,
let's run it
finally
once.
With Kelly. I mean, he just lined up last season, had a good plan, put Harold Perkins in the middle of the field, and said, wherever Bryce Young goes, go with him.
And when you see your opportunity, take it. And he did.
Offensively, you're ready to go. And
I like LSU's chances.
And this season, I look at this game on paper, and again, I got mad respect for Alabama's defense. I think what they're doing on that side of the ball is very impressive. And, this is going to be the toughest defense that LSU has faced up to the point this season. And it's not even close. I mean, there's no debate to that. But still, this offense, I don't think so, man. I don't. Until I see it, I don't buy it.
I mean, Coach, I watched Tennessee with half as good offense as LSU march down the field and give Bama's defense
abuse them.
Work.
Abuse them, Coach. I mean, like, I get that McKinstry's good. I love Caleb Downs. I really do. That kid is.
Nick Saban loves Caleb Downs.
Yeah.
He's a player.
I was about to say, I don't think anybody in here loves Caleb Downs more than Nick Saban.
You know, he reminds me of LeBron.
A little bit.
He has better ball skills.
Yeah.
He does, but he has 66 tackles too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and the one thing about Downs is that he gets his hands on you, you're going to the ground. That was the thing about LaRon Landry. He touched you, you were going down. So I mean, like, they got dudes, man. It is Bama. They still got the A. They still got the numbers on the side of the helmet. It is Alabama football. Coming off of Saban's best recruiting class ever, headlined by Caleb Downs. So, I mean, no excuses going in. But on paper, LSU feels like the better team. And when you're neutralizing the coaching, which has been done in this series now, not to say that LSU still can't get out-coached. It's still Saban and his staff, but they're putting in work. I mean, this game for 15 years for Saban was a copy and paste. It was a plug and play. You had the game plan, the same one since 2007. Just run it back, run it again. I mean, they worked in the bye week. They're working this week to make sure and try and scheme against LSU because they know LSU's scheme is going
to actually have one.
To be a good one. One that they got to be ready for. And when I look at the players on the field, they can't guard Brian Thomas if they're going to try and take Malik Neighbors out of the game. Because the only thing you can really do with Malik and trying to take him out of the game is put McKinstry on him and shade him with downs. So if you take those two players and move them on the same side of the field, Brian Thomas is about to go he's about to go off. So, I mean, like, I don't believe that there's a defense in college football that can take LSU's offense out of the game. Can they stymie them? Can they stop them? Can they, a possession here or there? Yeah, probably. But can you totally take them out of the game? I just don't believe that exists. I just don't know that happens.
And they've already been a little road tested with the Ole Miss game. You saw whenever they play on the road at Ole Miss and at Missouri, both games where they were shootouts and the offense never wavered. It wasn't this moment's too big, it's too loud, timeout. It was, this thing is still highly orchestrated and highly efficient and going to put up big dog numbers. So, I know Bryant Denny, whenever it's right, it is as elite of an atmosphere as you can have.
It's good.
But
it's I don't know if it's elite.
You want to know Bama's highest yardage and point total this season? 56, and that was against Middle Tennessee, and they had 431 yards of total offense.
What's the second highest?
The second highest is, I think, Tennessee, which was their last game, 358 yards.
Yeah, and they got down 13-0.
Yeah, like, you get down 13-0 against LSU,
forget it. You ain't coming back.
Forget it. Like, there is the emphasis of starting fast for LSU has been there over the last couple of weeks. No more and no bigger and no more important than in this game. Because if you can get up 13-14, 17, 21-0, 21-3, 21-10 on this team, you can forget it and start making them one-dimensional. For as bad as LSU's defense is, you can play against that when you know what they're going to do. When you know what they have to do, they got to throw the ball. They got to come back in it. Put the pressure on Milroe. No way he can sustain that. And if he can, take your L. Like, shake his hand, tell him, excellent game, go win the West. Go win the league.
Earned it.
Like, you did what you had to do. But if he does that, I'll be shocked. Crazily shocked. And if LSU can get out to a lead on this and make you feel how good that offense is, where Brian Thomas catches one over your head, Malik Neighbors busts one in the open field, Logan Diggs makes a play out of the backfield, Mason Taylor comes alive here, whatever it is, where you're
there
just
goes
like,
John Emery.
God, they got them coming at us in waves. We don't know where they're coming from next. And they get the ball on offense and they have to put it in Milroe's hand and they say, hey, man, win it for us. They are in deep trouble. Deep trouble early. That was the thing about 19, that if I'm just kind of picking nits now and like going back on it, one thing I wish could have happened in 19 is you could have blown them out.
Mm-hmm.
Like that third quarter possession, the first one out of the locker room where Joey B got sacked and the ball popped out into the defensive end's hands and they got it back and they had that great third quarter. They had the great Najee Harris over Patrick Queen catch. Tua was playing. The whole thing came alive for them in the third, but LSU was the better team and shut them down in the fourth. But there was about a 2.5 minute window.
LSU was driving
where
too.
LSU could have blown them out.
Quit.
If they score at the beginning of the third quarter, that game is over. The same scenario exists this Saturday night. You get up early, you have a real shot of making them tap out. Like, you get up and show them how good the offense is. Get off the bus scoring.
Get on the bus scoring.
That Joey B. Jamar Chase opening drive 2019. 6 plays. Surgery. Precision. Justin Jefferson across the middle. Clyde out of the backfield. Jamar on the sideline. Next thing you know, your best cornerback is fishing for grass on his face while Jamar Chase is grittying in the end zone. 13 minutes left in the first quarter.
Had the rough surprise.
Took it off your head.
when he took it off his head, the ref behind him is like,
oh, no doubt. I mean, when Clyde scores at the beginning at the end of the half and spikes the ball in front of the ref is like,
oh,
I'm supposed to call a flag, but
I'm enjoying this just like he is. This is a game.
This is unbelievable.
What a game!
This is unreal.
And I would also, if you don't get the Tua turnover on their first drive, I think the game is probably a little different as well.
No doubt.
You need those breaks.
No doubt. You got to have those breaks, especially on the road. But you got to make the most out of them, and that's what they did. You get that turnover, you make them die. You make them suffer. So it's Monday, Bama week, and I'm sorry, but we got to get out of here. I got to roll. I know 500 of you are sitting there. Come back with us tomorrow morning. We will be back at our regularly scheduled time. We'll be here for the rest of the week. We did start the show at 6:30 this morning, so we do have about an hour and 15 minutes of content that if you want to go back and check it out today, you can. I'm sorry, we got a meeting coming up at 8 o'clock. Can't get out of. I got to get there for 8 a.m., and we will be back with you tomorrow. Compliments of our friends over at Hughes Mechanical. Have a great Monday. It is LSU Bama week. Tigers are underdogs, 3.5, and the over-under is 60. We'll be talking about it all week. Come back with us. Have a great Monday. We are built by R&B Builders.
Play my theme music.
Hey, Chino. Put my headphones up, bro. Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification. We about to go live. We got all your favorite guests. We got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show. Come have a good time. It's the hottest show around. We ain't got to flex. Call up G, we get it done. We earning our respect. Tell recruits to let us in. Where they going next? Throw up the L's. Now we lit. Band playing Nick. From the boot to the east to the west coast. No matter where we at, we live. Mic'd up for show. Open up the phone lines. Come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show. Yeah, Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification. We about to go live. We got all your favorite guests. We got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show. Come have a good